There is a document, buried in the folds of history, that could forever change the way you look at Easter. We are not talking about a simple devotional legend, but about what many early church fathers regarded as an official report sent to the very heart of the Roman Empire. Picture the scene. It is the morning of the third day. Rome's imperial seal, the symbol of the most absolute power in the ancient world, has been broken. The chosen guards, elite men trained never to feel fear, return to the city pale as death, their hands trembling. Pontius Pilate, the cynical man who authorized the execution of Jesus, sits in his palace. He cannot sleep. In front of him lies a blank scroll of parchment. He must write to Rome. He must explain to Emperor Tiberius why an executed prisoner is no longer in his tomb. What we are about to read is not just a bureaucratic account. It is the confession of a man who, between the lines of an official report, seems to have realized that he had condemned the Son of God. Stay with me, because today we will bring to light what the Gospels hint at, and what the tradition of the early centuries carefully preserved, despite the Sanhedrin's attempts to cover it up. That Sunday morning, Jerusalem was a powder keg ready to explode, but the silence hanging over the city was louder than any uprising. The Sanhedrin was in total panic. Why? Because their soldiers had returned with impossible news. Here, we need to pause on a point that Roman history makes very clear: the custodia militaris. According to Rome's strict military code, if a prisoner escaped, or if a body was stolen while under a guard's watch, there was only one punishment for those soldiers: death. And yet, here, something inexplicable happens. Pilate, a man known for his cruelty, did not have those guards executed. Why? While the Gospel of Matthew tells us that the soldiers were paid by the Jewish leaders to lie, documents from ancient tradition, such as the so-called Acts of Pilate, add a crucial piece to the story. Pilate did not kill them because he knew from their direct testimony that this was not a case of grave robbery. The guards did not speak of thieves or stealthy disciples. They spoke of an unbearable light that had torn through the darkness and of an earthquake that shook not only the ground but the soul itself. Pilate understood that against such a force, his legions were powerless. Imagine the governor interrogating the centurion, "Where is the body?" And the answer he receives chills him. "It was not taken away, governor. It came out." Many of you know the 4 canonical Gospels, but few know of texts such as the Anaphora Pilati, the report of Pilate. Here, an important clarification is necessary for the integrity of our channel. The Church considers these texts apocryphal. What does that mean? It does not necessarily mean false. It means they were not included in the biblical canon because they were written later, or because they were not guaranteed by direct divine inspiration. Even so, these documents carry enormous historical and spiritual weight. Why? Because they reflect what the earliest Christians and even pagans were saying in Jerusalem and Rome during the first centuries. Think of Tertullian, one of the most important Christian writers and jurists of the 2nd century. He writes with great confidence that Pilate sent a detailed report to Tiberius explaining that Jesus had risen. Even Saint Justin Martyr, around AD 150, challenged his pagan audience by saying that these things happened, you can verify from the acts made under Pontius Pilate. So, even if the literal text we possess today may be a later reworking, the existence of an official report from Pilate about the event of the resurrection was something the early church fathers took for granted. Pilate described Jesus not as a political agitator, but as a being who worked miracles never seen before. In these texts, Pilate writes astonishing words. While the soldiers were standing guard, a thunder was heard from heaven. A light brighter than the sun descended over the tomb. And the one whom we had crucified was walking among us, surrounded by a glory that does not belong to this world. There is a detail in these reports that is often overlooked, yet it finds echoes even in non-Christian Roman chronicles: the darkness of Good Friday. The report attributed to Pilate says that the world became dark as if the stars had fallen from the sky. Now, someone may say that is just religious suggestion, but let us look at the facts. The pagan historian Phlegon of Tralles and the historian Thallus, both writing in the early centuries and not Christians, confirmed that during the reign of Tiberius there was a total darkness and a terrifying earthquake across the eastern Mediterranean. Thallus tried to explain it as a solar eclipse, but we know scientifically that at Passover, with a full moon, a solar eclipse is impossible. Why would a cynical and ruthless Roman governor like Pilate invent such details while writing to his superior in Rome? To report heavenly signs was to admit his own inability to control a man whom nature itself seemed to obey. If Pilate wrote these things, it is because he was reporting what his most trusted sources, his soldiers, could no longer deny under oath. While Pilate was writing in the silence of his study, just a short distance away in the temple, the greatest cover-up in history was unfolding. The Gospel of Matthew is very clear. The Sanhedrin offered the soldiers a large sum of money. Pause for a moment and think about that. Why offer a fortune to tell a lie? If the body had truly been stolen, the chief priests would have demanded the soldiers' punishment, not protected them. The lie they imposed was absurd. Say that while you were asleep, his disciples came and stole him away. But think about it carefully. As St. Augustine already pointed out, if the soldiers were asleep, how could they know it was the disciples? A sleeping witness has no legal value, then or now. Pilate, as an expert in Roman law, immediately understood the irrationality of that accusation. In his report to Tiberius, one can almost sense a tone of contempt for the blind hatred of the Sanhedrin, a hatred trying to hide the sun with one hand. Pilate, the man of pagan power, was beginning to see the light just as those who had awaited the Messiah were shutting their eyes. In this meeting point between history and tradition, there is one figure we must not forget: Claudia Procula, Pilate's wife. We know from the Gospel of Matthew about her prophetic dream. Have nothing to do with that righteous man. But ancient tradition tells us much more. It says that after the resurrection, her influence over Pilate became overwhelming. It is said that Claudia was present when the guards returned in terror. Eastern tradition and Catholic tradition remember her as one of the first hidden believers among the Roman elite. She looked at Pilate and reminded him of her warning. That inner torment seems to come through in the tone of the report. Pilate does not write like a proud governor who has crushed a revolt, but like a man haunted by remorse. He even writes that many of the dead were seen walking through Jerusalem, a detail we also find in the Gospel of Matthew, and one that seems to have been on everyone's lips in those days. What became of Pilate? Some historians say he was recalled to Rome and fell into disgrace. But an ancient tradition, one especially dear to Catholic sensibility, suggests that both Pilate and Claudia sincerely sought redemption. Pilate finally wrote to Tiberius the phrase that stands at the summit of every search. He truly was the Son of God. This was no longer the chronicle of an execution. It was the testimony of a man overcome by the evidence of the facts. Dear brothers and sisters, the story of Pontius Pilate, suspended between the biblical account and the memories of antiquity, teaches us a fundamental lesson. You may try to wash your hands of the truth, but if the truth is divine, it will always come back to find you. That secret report, whether literally, historical, or faithfully handed down through tradition, is a voice traveling across the centuries to tell us that not even the strongest imperial seal can hold back life. In this week after Easter, let us remember that the tomb is still empty. The guards fled, the report was written, and Jesus is alive. Do not let this Easter pass like a distant memory. Be like Claudia Procula. Listen to that inner voice telling you he is the righteous one. Be like the soldiers who, though terrified, could never forget the light they had seen. Today, I want to ask you for an act of faith. If you believe that Jesus has risen and that he is alive today, right now, beside you, guiding your steps, do not remain silent. Let us create together a chain of faith that unites our entire channel in this week of glory. Write this simple declaration of victory in the comments. Jesus is risen. Lord, I believe. Subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who needs to find hope again, or with someone who still doubts the power of the resurrection. And always remember this: the stone was rolled away not to let Jesus out because he was already beyond it, but to let us in so that we could see that he is no longer there. He is risen. He is truly risen. God bless us all.